Azure Function is one of the serverless compute service from Microsoft. With Azure Functions, you don't need to worry about the underlying infrastructure which runs your code. And Azure Function is sometimes referred to as function as a service. Azure Functions are event-driven. They can be triggered by HTTP request or a timer or even a message from other services. And because Azure Function is event-driven, the underlying resources used to run this function can be deallocated when the function is not in use. Like we have previously seen, Azure Function is serverless, which means we don't need to worry about the underlying VM or container which provides the underlying compute infrastructure to run your code. And Azure Functions are highly scalable. For example, you can configure to auto-scale your functions based on demand. And one of the huge advantage of Azure Function is that when you are running it in a serverless mode, then you only pay for the usage. This is a major difference compared to other compute infrastructure. So if you are using VM or container, regardless of whether those VM or container are used by your application or not, you still need to pay for it because those virtual machines or containers are still consuming Microsoft's hardware. So you still need to pay for it regardless of your application is actually using them or not. But with serverless Azure Functions, you will only be charged for the actual usage of the function. If the function has only run for say 10 seconds in an entire day, you will only be charged for those 10 seconds of the CPU time rather than for the whole day. But when you are using VM or container, because the VM or container is running throughout the day, you will be charged for throughout the day. Okay, so that is one of the huge advantage when it comes to Azure Functions. And these functions can be stateless or stateful. If it is stateless, then each call to the function will be run as if this is the very first call which is made to that function, which also means it cannot track any prior activities. On the other hand, a function can also be a stateful function, also known as durable function. If it is a stateful function, then it will track prior activities. So we will be passing in a context information that will contain all of the prior activities. So it can do something stateful based on those activities. So that is all about Azure Functions at a very high level. I hope this video is useful. Thank you.